Hi, my name is Alex Hapka, Business Integration Analyst for Success Computer Consulting. I'm going to show you just how easy it is to put together a flow or automation. So what we're trying to solve is a recruiter that downloads resumes to his personal folder from his LinkedIn, reviews them, then emails to the hiring manager with attachments and any notes he might have. The hiring manager then has to download the file into his personal folder to view later. Of course, if he forgets to download this document into his personal folder, he could run into having to search for it through thousands of emails. This is time consuming, it's repetitive. We got to find a way to be able to make this automated. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a flow that will notify the hiring manager when a resume is placed in a SharePoint folder. This allows for both the hiring manager and recruiter to work off the same document. It eliminates the need to both email and download a copy of the resume. So, as you can see, I've already got a folder here that's labeled for candidates. And if I were to take this three dots here, you'll notice there's this automation arrow, and we can go ahead and create a flow. So once I click create a flow, it's going to load up templates. If you're a beginner, I would really recommend looking at all the templates because they may already have something that solves the issue that you're trying to automate. So in this instance, it's right on the top here that we're looking at. But as you can see, we could request a manager approval for a selected item. We could save the email attachments to a SharePoint document library. You could also post a message within Microsoft Teams for a selected file. But what we want to do is we want to notify that hiring manager. So in order to do that, we're going to click this send a customized email when a new file is added. Essentially, whenever there's a new file added to the folder, we are going to send an email to that hiring manager. Of course, this is a demo environment, so there are no other emails for me to work off of. So right now, it's just going to be using my own email, so I can show you that the flow actually works. As you can see, we have it here. It describes all of the programs that are involved with this specific flow. Send yourself or someone else customize email when a new file is added. That's exactly what we're looking for. On the bottom here, our credentials are already put into place because we went straight through the document library to create this flow. And if all these are check marked, you're good to go. If not, it would mean that you need to sign in. The other thing to keep in mind is if, let's say, there's other people that are a part of this flow, they would need to have a connection added as well. And that's where you can add a new connection, which then they would put in their credentials, and now they would be connected to the flow as well. So they can essentially use their connections to access certain sensitive data, because maybe I don't have all the permissions that that person does. Go ahead and I'm going to click Create Flow. Another thing about the connections, essentially you're creating a gateway into what is needed to access the documents and the different information for the flow. Just something to keep in mind. All right, so the flow is all right here. You can see the details of the flow right on top. It gives you a description of what it is and a name of the flow. In this instance, it's only using the name of the template. And whenever you run a flow, it's going to show up here and it's going to tell you whether or not it succeeded or it was rejected. So now that it's all spun up, I'm going to go ahead and click edit so we can see the way that it looks. This is that flow chart that we were talking about. Power Automate, the way that they set up their steps. It's similar to a flow chart, so that's why it's really important to go in with a plan and already have a roadmap or a flow chart written out, because then essentially it transitions into this look. We have the SharePoint site that's already placed in there because we spun this up through the actual SharePoint site. The library name is Documents, folder shared documents. And you have some advanced, info. If you wanted to limit certain columns, you can do that as well. So essentially it's saying, where am I starting from? And we're starting from the SharePoint, which is when a file is created and in the SharePoint program. Then what you want the flow to do is to, in this instance, it's getting my profile. And Why it's doing that is it's getting all the information that's associated with me through the Microsoft credentials that I use. My email, my name, business title, all that information is really important, because then when you go into sending an email, as you can see, we have all of these different blocks here. And the way that I like to describe this is it's very similar to a Mad Lib, right? You're filling in the adjective, the noun, all within the context of your template, essentially. And you can name it whatever you want. So instead of it being new file added, maybe it's new recruitment. Go ahead and put that there. So now it's going to use new recruitment, and then it's going to put in the file name of whoever I've uploaded. The mail here, this is that information I was talking about, where it was grabbing the information from the get my profile action here. So it's using my email at the moment. But if there's somebody else's email that I want to place into here, there's dynamic content down here. You could essentially put in somebody else's email, maybe whoever created the file. So the recruiter, as he's uploading the file, I want to make sure that he notifies that this flow actually went through. You can place that in there too. Or you can just type out the name itself. I wouldn't recommend using an actual physical email address, because if ever that position changes, then you have to go back into each flow that you've used that and change it manually. So definitely try to find a way to get the dynamic content, so then as that business title changes, the email will change automatically. So as you can see, we got the body here just saying, hey, FYI, this file's in here, and it has an extension, so I can click on it and go to the file. All right, so that's essentially, that's as simple as it gets. If there's other things that I want to add to the flow, I can definitely do that with this plus button, which then you can add an action, or you can add a parallel branch. Maybe something else was running in the background while this flow is happening. That's an option as well too. You can see how easy it is. I just spun this up just by clicking on the template. I'm just walking you through each of those steps just so you can see what it looks like, but it's that simple. And then once I'm done with whatever I'm creating, I can click save. And then as you can see, you also have a chance, this is called a flow checker. It'll tell you if you put something in and the flow just won't work based off of that action. And when you click on that, it'll give you the errors or the warnings, basically meaning, hey, you could do this, but I wouldn't recommend it. The other option is to test your flow, and that's either by using data from the previous runs, or you can perform the trigger action yourself, which would be uploading the document. I'm not going to test the flow. I'm going to actually just do it, and then I'll show you what it looks like after it's done. So if we go ahead and go back over to our documents, I'm going to click on candidates here, and I'm going to go ahead and upload our bogus resume. Hey, guess what? There's a new recruitment. Let's go ahead and upload it. There we go. It has been uploaded. But if we go back to the flow here and we go backwards, and as you can see, when we come down here, the 28-day run history, we see that it did run 24 seconds ago. It succeeded. Perfect. Now you can actually click on this specific thing, and it'll show you, hey, here's the check marks. That happened, that happened, that happened. Everything ran smoothly. If I click open the steps, it gives you all of the different things that it did. If you're really tech savvy, this might be very helpful, but other than that, the only thing that you really want to look at is the succession, which is indicated by that check mark here. And then this ran perfectly. Awesome. If something didn't run, you'd see a red X, and in those instances, you can click on it and dig in a little bit deeper. But now I'm going to go over to my mail here. It looks like I have a mail. Oh, look, I got a new recruitment. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Hi, Alex. FYI, Alex Hapka has added a new file. It's the bogus resume. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And here we are. We're in the bogus resume. So it's that simple, being able to go back and forth. And because this is in the cloud, I can make any sort of modifications within this document that will then save, that the recruiter can then be able to make any sort of notes that it might need to as well. So that was just a few minutes, and as you can see, I just spun up a automation, and this is going to save my team time because the amount of time it takes to bring in an email, send it out, find the email, download the document, it's only about 5 to 10 minutes. But if you think about it, doing 24 of those, for instance, with the 5 minutes, that's 120 minutes that you're not able to save. And that you can then take that 120 minutes and put it towards a different project. Something as simple as an email. Thank you so much for this, and I hope this has been helpful.